We
I'm
here.
good.
Another
We are.
episode. Yeah, I'm excited.
Another episode.
Can't wait
We're
to
gonna
talk.
do
Can't
it.
go about to start it with this one. Yes.
I know. You are
I
excited
know I
about this
am. I
episode.
am. I am. I am. Which one is it, D? What are we doing this
This
week?
is episode 103.
Yes. And
103.
why am I so excited? And Dee knows this. It's because we're going to be talking about the body, right? This is called the Body Project, and we are going to be having some empowering conversations around body image.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I think anyone on this planet is affected by. Men, women, what have you, children, all ages will be able to relate to what we're going to be talking about today.
I hope so. I think so
Yeah.
too. I think it's an
Hmm.
important topic. A couple of
Absolutely.
important topics we need to address. So much to
Yeah.
cover. I'm excited.
Hmm.
I'm excited
Yeah.
because honestly, because you're so excited. But
I
before we
know.
get started, I really want to take just one moment to thank all of our listeners. You guys have been tapping in. Thank you for all the
Yes,
text messages, the
absolutely.
emails, the
Absolutely.
phone calls. We truly, truly appreciate you for taking this ride with us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just been so encouraging and empowering just to hear some of the things that people have said, some of the feedback we received. So it just, we're going to take that into this episode and try to give you more of what you told us you liked. So, Dee, I want to start with a question for you. So
What's
we're
that?
talking about body image. I know
Okay.
all of us
Mhm.
can remember, how we felt when we were young about our bodies, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like it's such a huge part of how we show up in the world as adults. So I figure let's start there because I'm happy to share what my journey was, and I would love to hear what yours was. We haven't had this conversation before, so tell
We
me,
haven't.
tell
And
me,
I mean,
tell me.
look, I think I grew up in that family that was typical Black family. I grew up in the inner city.
Hmm.
And, food was and is extremely important to us.
Hmm.
So, I
Hmm.
grew up where I had that grandmother that every Sunday she was cooking a meal. Every Sunday
Nice.
we were doing the
Mm-hmm.
mac and cheese or the turkey wings or
Mm-hmm.
the barbecue
Mm-hmm.
chicken. We had
Mm-hmm.
a full meal on Sundays. Like that was
Yes,
the family I came from.
I love that.
So that's always been an integral part of just how we communion with
Mm-hmm.
each other. In fact, my family owned a soul food restaurant.
Oh, really?
So
Wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
so I
Okay.
think like that really helped to shape my body image. I mean, I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
have everybody around me was eating that way. And I know that we
Right.
we're going to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
later on in the episode, healthy eating and things of that nature. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember feeling like when I was much younger and that I've always been on the thicker side.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
remember when I was younger that not necessarily on the inside, like within
Mm-hmm.
my family, but outside, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe that wasn't, the standard of beauty that I needed to be.
Mm.
The struggle then was like, how do we get thinner?
Right.
Doing those
Yes.
crash diets, at a young age, not eating carbs,
Mm-hmm.
like but where that started, I don't know. It had to be
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around high school, prior to
Mm-hmm.
even getting to college,
Yep.
feeling like, that I had to slim down and trim down. And, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I had hips and a
Mm-hmm.
booty, it might not have been the popular thing back then. Maybe,
Now
maybe.
everybody wants hips and booty. So
Yes,
yes, yeah,
that
now
has
that's
changed.
in. Yes, now thick is in for sure. Wow. Yeah, and
Thicker than a snicker. Yep.
I mean, I had a similar upbringing, right? So I'll just say
Yeah.
I'm half Italian, right? Or Sicilian to be specific,
Mm-hmm.
and half Black. And
Mm-hmm.
I mostly grew up around my family, my mom's family, who is the
Yeah.
Sicilian side. It was the same thing every Sunday, but we were having spaghetti sauce. Okay, we were having our pastas. We had some greens in there. We had a salad every now and again, but it was meatballs and sausage and all the meat. Now they're saying is carcinogenic. Was our
Yeah,
meal
yeah.
every Sunday. Okay,
Every
every
Sunday.
Sunday. And I was like our family on my mom's side, and then when
Mhm.
I don't know to say this, when we got together on my father's side, very much the soul food, the candy yams, the mac and cheese,
So
and
you had
it
it
was
all.
always an event. All right, I got all the bad bad food.
You got it all.
Right, exactly, on both sides. But I was so thin growing up. Like
I
I
was
could eat
the
whatever I
same.
want. I was super thin, and that's like the tendency on my mom's side of the family. Well, I'll be super thin, and then I remember around 15 years old, I started to
Yeah.
thicken out. I started to fill out a little bit, and feeling
Uh-huh.
like that. Oh, I'm kind of getting fat and chunky. And then my mother was
Wow.
always dieting. My mother
Mm.
was always on, some type of diet program where she was trying to lose
Mm-hmm.
10 here, 20 there, out exercising with her friends. So it was something I definitely became more conscious of when I became a teenager, because just it was all around me. So
Definitely. But
mhm.
it's crazy because now when I look back at those pictures,
Right,
I
right,
wish.
right. I know. I'm like, I
I
was
not
not heavy at all.
like,
At
what
all.
was
I
I
look
looking
good.
at?
I
But
look good.
that
Yeah.
is something though, because we talked about this last week. We
Yes.
talked about, like basically being in a what mind space are you in?
Hmm.
So to think,
Hmm.
so what mind space did I have to be in then to
Right.
look at myself and
Right.
see that someone that was overweight?
That
When
perception. Yeah.
clearly
Hmm.
I was nowhere near overweight. When I
Mm-mm.
looked nowhere near it, me or my friends, because we were all
No.
in the same, place where we were really
Yeah.
trying to be thinner, or, you wanted
Hmm.
to have a nice shape. And back then, a nice shape meant you were more on the slimmer side. So,
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
where did that
Hmm.
come from? I have no idea.
Well, I
Well, we
think
know
it's,
where it comes
yeah, we
from.
know it come from, and we're gonna cover that. But I'll also
Yeah.
say this, being of mixed race, right? I know at
Yeah.
one point I felt like I wasn't curvy enough, right? That
Yes.
was
I was
something
gonna
I was
ask you that.
very
Yeah.
conscious of, because a lot of my friends,
Hmm.
I will say like how I perceive myself is as a
Yeah.
Black woman. And it's not to
Okay.
deny, like I very much love and embrace like the Italian side of me
Right.
and that
Right.
culture. It's just that how I move in the world, how I see myself. It's just naturally
Yeah,
that's what it is.
exactly. Hmm.
But love my Italian culture. It's something that I was entrenched in growing up. But also being aware of, okay, I'm not feeling Black enough. And that's a real thing. And I think
Mm.
at some point we should cover that because when you're mixed race, that's a challenge. I have my own special little challenge, okay, as someone who
Yeah.
is a person of color, feeling like you're not definitely not fitting in white culture or Italian culture, but not feeling like I'm Black enough to be fully accepted from my Black culture as well. So I think that's something that, when we talk about body image and how we perceive ourselves, that's something that I even see a lot of my family go through, you know. So
And a lot of your family that are also
that
mixed
are that
race.
are also mixed race. Yeah, like I have several cousins and everything that go through similar struggles.
And I think the most interesting part of that is we were like living in the same space,
Hmm.
but very different places, right?
Yeah.
So, you talked about the body image and what you perceive based on the fact that you come from two different cultures and never
Hmm.
really feeling like you fit in to either
Hmm.
one of those.
Right.
But if I
Yeah.
think about like how that translated to the Black community, right?
Hmm.
And the fact that we even have to have conversations around colorism
Yes.
and lighter skin tones, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is not what I am. So think about,
Yeah.
from my perspective,
Hmm.
if I were looking at you, you would be okay, right? Because you're
Yeah.
lighter skinned,
Right.
you were thinner on the thinner side, right?
Hmm.
So from where I sat, you were really fitting more into the European centric,
Hmm.
standards of beauty at that time. So the
Hmm.
fact that you're telling me right now, you didn't feel that,
Not
you
at all.
know,
Not at
you
all.
didn't feel
Yep.
that. So
Mm-mm.
and that's why I really feel like there's
Yep.
warfare. There's
Mm.
warfare happening right now on Black and brown women, has always
Absolutely.
been, and it
Hmm.
continues to
Oh
happen
yeah.
even today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know that, you saw it as well. This past weekend,
Yep.
a very popular comedian, DC Youngfly, he was
Yeah.
talking about body image, right?
Right. Yeah.
And Black women. And,
Hmm.
all of us suffered along with him and his family,
Yeah.
last year when we lost
Yeah.
Jackie O, who
Yeah.
was, his everything, the mother of
Yeah.
his children,
Hmm.
when, she
Yeah.
underwent surgical procedure that
Hmm.
ended with her losing her life. And so I want to get into that topic.
Yes. Absolutely.
Those surgical procedures that are
Absolutely.
elective, and
Yep.
have started to sort of really take way in our community.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's funny because I was doing a little bit of research because actually some
Hmm.
people in my circle have recently undergone surgery. And honestly, I didn't even know what it like I've heard of it before, but I was like
Yeah.
BBMs, you know what I so
Oh,
I wasn't really even sure like what the title was
BB.
or why would people even want to do that, especially when you're talking about Black women. And I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
times, you have these celebrities and just people in general who want the very thing that at one point they would be critical of Black women for having, right?
Mm.
Big butts and, so on and so forth. So the BBL is I just want to read some statistics, and I purposely did not share this with you because it was staggering to me. And
Yeah.
in 2020, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons reported over 21,000 BBLs, which was a 37% increase between 2020 and 2021, right? And then in 2020,
Wow.
yeah, so and then there's more. In 2020, 39%, right? So sorry, 396,000 people had BBL surgery, which was a
Yeah.
19.3% increase from 2016. And then lastly, I'll say BBLs are one of the fastest growing cosmetic procedures in the world. All right. So people are going down to Florida. Most popular places people are going are Florida, right? They are going to from the East Coast, and they're coming from Delaware, Rhode Island, and Maryland. So it's happening in our community. We're seeing it on TV. We're seeing it in these shows. I think it's taken way too lightly. The risks are very, very high, and I don't think the risk is worth the reward. Losing your life is not a reason to go undergo this surgery, in my opinion.
Very true, but we
Yeah.
have to talk about why there are risks, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
everything you just said
Hmm.
leading up to, the fact that, is rampant and there's risks
Yep.
is true. Like
Hmm.
obviously you have the data.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard that data, but we see it, right? It's
Right.
all on our timelines and social
Right.
media. You turn around, everybody one day they don't have it, next day it's bad.
Right.
So I mean, but why is there a risk? There's a couple of reasons, right? If you
Hmm.
have such a high demand for this
Hmm.
type of surgery,
Hmm.
the one thing that is happening is that they're saying that because there's such a high demand, there
Yeah.
are, under the people that don't have the technical knowledge or
Mm.
savvy to do these procedures that are really stepping into
Right.
this
Making it more,
marketplace,
yeah, making it
right?
affordable, right? Making it
To take
affordable for
it no,
people.
and to take advantage of the fact that
Mm.
this is a high
Yeah,
demand, right? It's a high
absolutely.
demand, so it's a need for more people to really come in and do
Hmm.
these procedures, but not all of
Hmm.
them have the proper education or know-how
Hmm.
to do them. So that's one reason. The
Absolutely.
second reason
Hmm.
is the thing that I did read is
Hmm.
that they reported that there's only about 2 to 3% of these surgeons that are actually Black.
Oh, really?
So think about
Wow.
that. So you're
Mm.
deciding to go to
Mm.
someone
Right.
to to do surgery on your body, who's not even an expert on your body and your genetic makeup.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
how do you? So we're already, like so many
Hmm.
other things, we're already at a disadvantage even
Hmm.
before we start,
Right.
because in that space, a lot of us, and that is,
Hmm.
I'm speaking specifically to people who are Black and brown people. That is
Hmm.
a space that we don't really see ourselves in, and so we are
No.
going to these places, like you said. And another
Hmm.
place that I hadn't even heard of is Turkey. I had
Really?
never heard. Yes, I read
Wow.
that in
Yeah.
the UK,
Hmm.
Turkey is a
Is
popular place
wow.
for
That's
people to go to
crazy.
get these surgeries. So
Mm.
that's another place that people have gone to get these
Yeah.
surgeries. So
Right.
those are some of the reasons why it's so much risks. And there
Hmm.
it in this space, it's not a lot of laws against certain things of
Right.
how people are doing the surgical process
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So
Right.
it's really sad, though. It really
Right.
is a
But
sad thing.
so we're talking about people feeling the need, though, right? You're saying, why are people doing this? And there's obviously feelings of inadequacy. Like if maybe during that in that time frame when I was younger, because I know people they're doing this procedure before having children, and our bodies change
Yeah.
so much. It's like they're young, they're getting younger, they're getting breast augmentation younger, they're getting these
Mm,
liposuction surgeries longer. I
mm.
mean, young at a much younger
Once
age,
you're
without
married,
even giving
yeah,
their
the
bodies time
age.
to mature and change. And our bodies change so much
Yeah,
when we have children. And it's
definitely.
it's sad to me because most people are going to now we have people within our own communities who are going to get this surgery when it's I mean there has to be feeling of lack, right? And I think the way our society, the direction our society has gone is that they're constantly telling you, not directly, but indirectly, that what you yourself is not enough. Like in order to to be a baddie, in order to be the most beautiful, whatever, right? You got to go get your lips done. You got to wear this makeup. You got to have these clothes. And one of the reasons why we started this show is because we want to talk about self-empowerment. And that's on a
Hmm.
financial level too, right? And
Self-love, yeah.
and before people will go ahead and save up their $7,000, $5,000, whatever it is to get these surgeries and not own a home, right? And be struggling with the vehicle. And so their
That's not a,
priorities
because
out
that's
of
not
whack.
a priority,
That's not a
and that's
priority.
not what
Right.
their favorite rapper is talking about.
Right.
You know?
Right, right. So we have to take responsibility as a community, even within our music and movies, and that's why it's so important for us to create our own content, right? Because at the end of the day, we're shaping the hearts and minds of our young people or anyone watching it for that matter, right? And I think in my mind, we need to pivot towards health. Let's have that health discussion. I want to have a body love revolution. I want people to start loving on themselves for who they are, what they look like. Let's start accepting ourselves for who we are.
Donna, you preaching. I love it. I love all of that
Hmm.
what you said. The one thing I do want to say is I don't condemn anyone
Hmm.
who decides that they want to make some changes to
Yeah.
themselves,
Hmm.
um, to to enhance how they feel they look,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Because just how we were talking a little while ago about how we felt, we were a younger age,
Hmm.
but if that for them is the thing that's going to affect them, mentally and spiritually, then I can be in alignment with that. I think
Yeah.
the thing that bothers me and that I question is
Hmm.
when someone goes into a situation like that with a
Hmm.
procedure like that without either doing
Hmm.
their research
Right.
or does their research. And although they are aware that it could potentially lead to death, they
Hmm.
still decide to move forward with it.
Right.
Because if anybody told me anything
Hmm.
could possibly lead to death,
Right.
I'm not
Right.
doing it. So
Right.
it's for me,
Yeah.
it speaks a lot more to everything that we've been talking about up to this
Hmm.
point is like, and it really goes to the point that DC Youngfly was making, which is, love yourself. And he put
Right.
a message out there to the men to say,
Mm.
men, tell your women that she's beautiful every day. But what
Yeah.
we talked about last episode is,
Mm.
learn how to love yourself, learn how
Yeah.
to affirm yourself. And
Yep.
so, I think that really just brings us back to that
Hmm.
topic. And the one last thing that I would say that really I think just ticked me off is when I
Mm.
did read up a little more on BBL, which again, for those of us who don't know, is
Right.
Brazilian butt lift. When I
Hmm.
read up on the history of it,
Mm.
it was rooted in anti-blackness.
Wow.
One of the
Really?
countries that's really, that people go is in Brazil.
Hmm.
They go to,
Yeah.
to get this. And,
Hmm.
um, surgery,
Hmm.
this type of surgery, plastic surgery in Brazil was rooted
Mm.
in anti-blackness because
Wow.
they actually were trying to take away some of the Negroid features. So they
Mm.
wanted to make people look more European and
Hmm.
whitewash that
Wow.
particular country.
Right.
So the fact that that is the case, and now we're actually going to this country
Hmm.
to plump up our behinds and suck out this or
Hmm.
whatever and put
Hmm.
it here. For me, the history of
Hmm.
it, like so many things, is people just don't know their history, but it was
No,
really
that's
rooted
true.
in them taking away those features from Brazil, which we know have beautiful black people.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
that to me
Yeah.
was like
Yep.
flooring. It floored me.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, colorism is a whole nother topic, and it exists there in Brazil and exists in a lot of places like
A
Dominican
lot of
Republic
places.
and things like
Yeah.
that, where people are trying to look less black. And, as you said, it's ironic they're using this surgery to look more black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I also say, and I'm totally with you. Like, this is not about bashing people who get the surgery. Our focus
No, of
is
course
purely
not.
on, wanting to take a healthier approach, both
Yeah.
physically and mentally, right? Because, as you said, when we perceive ourselves to be a certain way, when we perceive but that is, and it doesn't always come from us. Like, we are
Yep.
being
You said
fed
that last
what,
time. Yeah.
yeah, we are being fed what that beauty standard is, right? And then we're like,
Yes.
okay, in order for people to love us more, for us to be
This is what we have
accepted
to
more, this
be.
is what we have to be. So I would
Yeah,
just I
no.
would just encourage anyone considering the surgery, first think about why you're really doing it. Maybe talk to a therapist. Maybe you got to work that out with somebody, or a very close confidant or friend who's going to be honest with you, because
And
we could
definitely
lie to
don't do it.
ourselves.
Yeah,
Right.
and definitely don't do it because someone else is telling you this is something you need to do. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know I don't know what type of surgeries. That's not something that I researched that men are getting, but I'm pretty sure men are out there getting surgeries as well to enhance or do things that they feel like are going to make them all attractive. At the end of the day, this is all rooted in a need for more self-love, right? And
Self-affirmation. Yep.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
and that's something I really challenge everyone to look at. Like, what's wrong with how you look with you just being you? If
I
someone
think
can
age
love you,
helps.
just, yeah, it
I
does.
think age
It
helps.
does. Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, but if you can find somebody, I would say if you could find somebody who loves you for exactly who you are, right? I mean, and
Mm.
then love yourself for exactly who you are. I just feel like, and I'm not saying I'm 100% there, right? We all kind of have the things that we feel uncomfortable, that we feel like, so it's every day I'm telling myself, like, I'm enough. I'm enough just as I am.
And
It's
I would say reverse that. Like love yourself first.
yes,
Then you're going to attract that person that's going to love you
that
for
part,
you.
that
Yes.
part, that part. That's where it begins. It always begins in that place. So,
Always.
and
Hmm.
what I've been doing lately, and
Yeah.
I've been consuming, and I talk about this, I'm always consuming a lot of content, but it has been around health lately. And not from the standpoint, like, I definitely want to look at what type of physical exercise I could do to
Mhm.
stay toned and fit and just be the best version of myself. Like, my focus has been, what's the best version of Shawna? What does that look like, both
What's that look
mentally
like?
and physically?
Yeah.
So I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and came across this brother. Oh my God, his name is Yaki Awaken. Okay. Y'all
Oh
have
yeah, I
to
follow him
check
too.
him out. Yaki Awaken. And what he shared about, I'll be real quick. What he shared with us is that at 21 he had a heart attack. He wasn't living right. At 21 he had a heart attack. And he had to take all these medications. And that got him
Mm.
just going online during
Wow.
research about his health and natural ways to heal himself. So once he went down that rabbit hole, he ended up getting Dr. Sebi was his inspiration. I don't know if you heard of Dr. Sebi, but
Of
he's
course.
been, out
Yes.
there. And for people who don't know, like, he's no longer with us, but he
Yeah.
talked a lot about herbs and fruits and vegetables and a natural way of eating to really be in the best physical shape and health. So now, you have this brother who's inspired by him, just really educating us on our bodies. So if you really want to know what's happening and what foods and things you can do and eat and drink, and things you should be cutting out of your diet to be as healthy as possible and really get to understand and learn about your body, that's a good place to start.
Okay.
And
So
yeah.
you think that you start with him and that he's going to kind of put you on the right, because I know he talks a lot about the internal workings,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to be honest, when I listen to him, sometimes he loses
Yeah.
me because
Yeah.
he gets very technical.
He
And I didn't
does.
know
He
that was the story, but
does.
he gets very technical. In my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, I mean, you said it best, like the first episode, control what you put in your mouth. But not
Right.
bigger
Yeah.
than that. And I don't know if I
Mm-hmm.
shared this with you. Like one of my things on my bucket list is to
Mm-hmm.
own a farm. Like, I
Yes,
really want to
yes,
own a farm. I think we've talked about
yes.
this.
We have. Yep.
And
Yeah, I'm with you.
the reason why is because, yes, I'm a foodie. Food is like extremely important
Yeah.
to me.
Yes.
But I recognize I grew up in the inner city. I recognize
Mm-hmm.
that like in my local grocery stores, they didn't always have the freshest
Mm-mm.
foods. You
Mm-mm.
know, you have
Mm-mm.
to check the dates, okay?
Yes.
In the
Yes.
area I grew up with, you have to
Yes.
make sure because sometimes they will leave things on the
Mm-hmm.
shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the produce
Mm-hmm.
section, things will be a little rotted. We didn't get
Mm-hmm.
the best
No.
things in that
No.
area. They weren't
And
infused in that
and
area.
let me just say that's by design. Okay, that
Oh,
is
of
by
course.
design. That is
Yeah.
it's
I
and
mean, we're
I
in those areas by
yeah.
design. We know that
We
redlining,
know
et cetera.
redlining. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. And so at
Yes.
the end of the day, we have to take more of an effort to control, what we're putting in our bodies. But now we got to go above and beyond because some people don't have
Yes.
access. So that's
Yep.
the reason why I wanted a farm because I
Yeah.
really want to be able to provide the
Mhm.
community, my community, and those communities like it with
Yes.
fresh foods and produce and
Mm-hmm.
healthy options.
Yeah.
Not the same things that we grew up on, or at least I did, and in my community we grew up on, but some healthy alternatives that we could possibly seek out because I'm
Absolutely.
not going to ever look at food as just nourishment.
Right.
I'm,
Well,
I need to go for those things that make me feel good and that taste good. So
right.
that's
But
where I struggle.
I know, but I think that's a lot of people struggle, right? Because
Yeah,
mindset, you got to change your mindset and understand that food is medicine. I mean,
yeah.
there are little mantras I say to myself. One of them is food is medicine. When it comes to sugar,
Food
because
is
sugar is my kryptonite, sugar is poison. That's something I repeat to myself over and over again when I'm getting
food is
sugar
medicine.
cravings. Food is medicine and sugar is sugar is poison. It really
Food
is.
is
And
poison.
and I know it's hard but what you said right now, I just want to go back a little bit to what you said about
Mm-hmm.
growing food. That right
Yeah,
there is a revolutionary act. If you ask me, taking our health into our own hands is a
yeah.
revolutionary act because everything else we are being hit in the head with fast food commercials,
Oh my God.
with convenience. Like convenience is killing us at the end of the day.
Convenience.
Convenience
Yeah.
is killing
And
us
our kids.
and
Yes.
our kids, and we
Yeah.
think, okay, we're on the go, we're playing sports,
Let's
but
just get
it's
this.
actually working against like keep having our kids involved in physical activity because then we're not nourishing their bodies with the
Yeah.
right foods.
And listen, I had to actually have this conversation with Nyla the other day
Mm-hmm.
because, they don't know, right?
No.
So
Mm-mm.
they ask for certain things. And I remember visiting you, excuse me. I remember visiting you when Toriana was, I don't know, 2 or 3,
Yeah,
right? Which
yeah,
means
yeah,
Nyla was
yeah,
2 years older.
yeah.
And you had like nothing that I eat in that house. Like, I was like, Shawna, I'm visiting.
I'm
What are
dying.
we supposed to eat, right? But everything
or
was
drink,
healthy.
or
And
drink, no
or
water, no
drink,
juice,
or
no
drink,
juice.
okay? I couldn't even get coffee the right way. Like, I was like, this is some bull,
At
okay?
that time, Toriana was a vegan too.
Yeah,
She
she
was a
wasn't eating
vegan.
anything. And I
Hmm.
remember being
Yep.
like, oh my goodness, but I admired that you were doing that with her.
Yeah.
And I wondered as she got older, like, how is she going to keep
Mhm.
this up? Because, my issue was I was saying to my village, I don't
Mhm.
want my daughter having this or that.
Right. Yeah.
And the moment
Well,
I went
tell
away,
me, what the this and that was.
juice,
Mhm.
I didn't
Mhm.
want her drinking juice.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know that was one
Mhm.
of the things I didn't
Yep.
want her to have consume a lot of sweet stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But when you don't know what you don't know, and that's not
Mhm.
how my village grew up,
Yeah.
and they figure we're fine,
Yep.
like we turned out all right,
But
so
no, but have we though? Have we? You got
we
to
have
challenge
not,
anyone. We have
we
not.
have
Our
not,
communities are plagued with
we
heart
have
disease
not.
and high blood
But
pressure
they
and
don't they
diabetes.
didn't know that then
Right.
because
Right.
their bodies weren't feeling the effects of it, but
Right.
it is
Right.
now.
It
And so,
is.
illness is now creeping in, to the
Mhm. Mhm.
bloodline. Some of those
Yes.
things that we had no idea would show their ugly heads, some of those
Yep.
sicknesses and things of that nature. And so
Yeah.
now I recognize the conversation has started to shift,
Mhm.
so you can have more intelligent conversations around food and
Yep.
nourishment and the fact that food is medicine. But back
Absolutely.
then, when
Yeah.
my daughter was younger, it was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, no problem. And as soon as I turned my
Mhm.
head,
Right.
They were giving her whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Mhm.
Those things that we learned then define our relationship with food now. And so I feel
Absolutely.
like I am still trying to instill in her
Mhm.
today,
Mhm.
the difference between, not wanting chicken McNuggets and like, how do we what's a healthier option? And I told her, look, it's
Mhm.
either you're going to choose or I'm going to choose for you.
Mhm.
Because my job as your mom is to make sure that you live the healthiest life that you can
That's
and the
right.
longest
That's right.
life that you can.
That's right. Okay, I know we said a lot, right? We said a lot and a little, but all you have to do, all we challenge you to do is make one small change and be kind to yourself, right? Because that one change is not always easy to make. So be very intentional. And then what we're going to be looking for your comments and, just questions even in our IG, comment section. We're going to be looking for those because we're going to respond to you. We're going to engage with you and just share what some of those challenges are, right? Because you might be struggling. You might have, when you're cutting out sugar specifically, that's 3 days out of your system, but it's all psychological. It's all up here. So definitely the meditating and things we talked about in the past will help you get through those difficult days. One small change. And I can't wait to read what you're doing. And we will definitely chime in with what we're doing.
So check us out, Co-Labbin_podcast on all platforms. And that's all we're asking for is one, because really that's all I got in me this week.
And this is us Co-Labbin, y'all. This is part of Co-Labbin, right?
Thank you for coming with us in the lab.
Yeah, thank you. What's your challenge gonna be, Dee? What is it?
I don't know. I can't tell you yet.
I think I'm gonna do